The fight against ISIS took a very interesting turn last Monday at a UN Security Council meeting. During that meeting, Russia declared its desire to want to join the fight against the Islamic State. However, they did say they wanted to do it differently than the NATO allied nations and that they wanted to do all actions in accordance with international law. Permanent members of the Security Council exchanged positions on possible forms of cooperation with other partners on a plan to counter the Islamic State in the framework of international law. Clearly, the reason this situation is so controversial is given the origins of ISIS itself. It has come from the backing of the United States and Israel, mostly inadvertently through their actions funding and supporting other Islamic militant groups, particularly the ones that are being used to attack Syria right now. And in U.S. politics, its origins are a hot topic of debate.
I just want to say, as I've said to you personally, we have 3 senators, President, Vice President, Secretary of State, that are exercising terrible judgment right now. And to say that you're going to do this, regardless of what we say, you're not going to ask for buy-in by the United States Senate or House of Representatives on behalf of the American people, in a conflict that you say is going to be multi-year, some people say a decade, taking us into another country with a different enemy, is exercising the worst judgment possible. You say much has been accomplished. That's a nice photograph on the front of the Wall Street Journal.
With respect to the judgment about asking Congress to do it, I'm asking, do it.
You're asking us to approve something that we know, the way you've laid it out, makes no sense. This doesn't even seem serious. We know the Free Syrian Army cannot take on ISIL. You know that.
Senator, you know, I must say to you, I really find it somewhat surprising for you to suggest that as the President of the United States talks to the nation and commits to take strikes in order to deal with ISIL, as we have come back from a week of very serious meetings with nations around the world, all of whom are committed to this, that you sit there and suggest that it's not serious.
There's absolutely no question that Russia does face its own issues concerning radical Islamic extremism. Obviously, there's a whole entire situation with Chechnya and the separatists that have been there for some time. ISIS has previously declared their intention to support such groups and to also liberate the Chechen area of Russia. And this, of course, poses a threat to Russia. Now, there's another interesting dynamic to all this. It's that as the battle is being taken to ISIS, as the U.S. will begin taking what is essentially unilateral actions against the organization, they're going to be carrying out their own interests. Obviously, when they just recently started bombing ISIS positions inside of Syria, they're maneuvering against Assad at the same time. And this would also take place in Iraq and other places where ISIS is currently operating, which means the U.S. is going to use this to their advantage. Even though it's a big mistake on their part, they're going to maneuver it into their own benefit by using this as a pretext to forward their own interests in the region. Which means Russia has to defend its interests in the region. So joining the fight against ISIS is a very logical move for them to defend their own interests. If they don't, the U.S. could end up using this as a pretext to just basically undermine all of Russia in the area. Let us be honest. What's going on is imperialist maneuvering. Both the U.S. and now Russia are trying to maneuver their interests against each other. If Russia doesn't act now, it's going to lose. So they obviously have to come in and do their part to try to get whatever they can for themselves, or else they'll end up being undercut by the United States. No matter what happens here, essentially the people are going to lose. However, we should acknowledge that ISIS is absolutely terrible, and no one likes them. ISIS is one of those rare exceptions with an Islamic militant organization in that it's not particularly backed by anyone. Nobody likes these guys. No one at all. And because of that, they're eventually going to fail, or at least maybe that might earn them some credibility in the eyes of certain radical elements, because they're not somebody's puppet. But we should recognize that these guys have to go down, and they have to go down as fast as possible. the war to do so will be very complicated. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe or check out some of these other great videos. If you wish, share it on social media. While you're at it, why don't you follow me on Twitter? And if you got time, go on over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.